The following is a review for critical, analytical, and educational purposes only, and is protected under Article 17 and 107 in the United States Fair Use Code. This video is not an infringement on copyright. Please enjoy the video.
No introductions. A large portion of my viewers have been looking forward to this movie, so let's jump straight into the review. Captain America the Winter Soldier is possibly the most ambitious Marvel movie to date in terms of the narratives it's juggling. You've got Captain America adapting to 21st century life, you've got Black Widow questioning her allegiance, you'll learn more about Nick Fury, you've got the inclusion of the Falcon, the Winter Soldier, the corruption at S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as the political subtext about how an increasingly militarized America is going to cause far more harm than it does good. Many of these subjects are concepts you wouldn't find in many other mainstream blockbusters, because other studios would be too afraid to include them, or they don't have the skill to pull them off. So the fact that Marvel have tackled this in a sequel to one of the most patriotic superhero movies of all time does deserve an amount of respect. I just wish the movie could have been better. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot to like about this movie. Chris Evans continues to be a revelation in the role of Steve Rogers, we learn more about Nick Fury and Black Widow than ever before, Robert Redford is great as he channels previous performances such as All the President's Men and the 3 Days of the Condor, and the movie has the best hand-to-hand combat scenes in a comic book film to date. The weak link here is in the title. The Winter Soldier didn't need to be in this story. In fact, with the exception of 2 scenes linking him to the real bad guy, you could easily cut him out of the movie and you would only lose an action set piece or 2. The emotional connection between him and Captain America feels tacked on. There's no real sense of conflict here, or at least no conflict worth investing in. This could be because they stuck too closely to the source material. I understand that not every single movie character can be a ground-up reworking like the Mandarin, but here it feels like the movie was just slacking off. But the real problem with the Winter Soldier is that it never goes far enough with any of its aspects, which is astonishing considering that this movie clocks in at almost as long as the Avengers. Just when the movie threatens to become really interesting or go above and beyond, it just cuts to the next scene. There are great scenes early on between Steve and a friend from his past, but it's over before it can even start and it's never brought up again. There's hidden depth to the Falcon because he's part of a PTSD support group, but it only gets a few lines of dialogue and, yeah, it's never mentioned again. Emily Van Camp plays a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who seems like she would be really important at first, but then she hardly has any presence in the film. She's completely pointless. She adds nothing to the movie. The film is in such a freaking hurry to get from one plot point from one scene to the next that it's difficult to feel committed to what's happening. If this movie has an extended director's cut, then I would pay good money to see it, because Captain America the Winter Soldier is a good movie, but it feels like that there is a great one trying to burst through the seams. Another problem is that it plays the shoutouts to previous movies more than any other. There's frequent mention of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, but where are they? Captain America is very publicly going through all of these hardships, but they're nowhere to be seen, even though characters keep mentioning them. Yes, I know that Tony Stark had stuff to deal with in the last movie, but we don't know when the Winter Soldier is taking place in relation to the other films, so that excuse might not hold water. And even if it did, because the movie keeps mentioning Iron Man and even Doctor Strange at one point, I was waiting for someone to show up to help their fellow Avenger, but they didn't. Tony Stark was presumed dead in Iron Man 3, which is why his team members didn't help, and Thor was on Earth for much of the Dark World. But here, no excuse. The team members have a lot of explaining to do in Age of Ultron next year. I don't want you to feel like I hate this movie, so let's talk about some more good stuff. The special effects are great, the Falcon suit is sweet, as is the stuff the Captain does with his shield, the action scenes have a real sense of tension and are incredibly well directed, and the music by Henry Jackson is a standout. There are also some moments of really clever and witty dialogue, although the movie does feel like a sitcom, where every single scene needs to end with a funny line. This review sounds so much more negative than I want it to, I apologise everyone. Captain America the Winter Soldier is a good movie, and I had a lot of fun with it, but the movie is just in such a rush, is going at such a fast clip, and the fact that the 2 villains of the movie are practically different conflicts, and that you could lose the Winter Soldier and lose hardly anything, is a very big concern. But in terms of action blockbusters, it's well made, it's intelligent at points, and it's frequently exciting and engaging, but it could have been so much better. If this was any other franchise, I would probably call it a great movie, but from Marvel Studios, it's merely a good one, and I feel quite underwhelmed. Captain America the Winter Soldier gets 3.5 stars out of 5.
You told me not to trust anyone. This is how it ends. Everything goes.
Looks like you're giving the orders now, Captain.
Damn right.
Oh, and as for the credit scene, stay for the first one because it's awesome, but the second one, don't bother. It's the definition of tacked on, and not in a funny way like the shawarma one, but it's just lazy. I saw this movie with 3 friends who weren't as invested in the Marvel films as I am, and I told them that there's going to be something at the end of the credits, so we're going to stick around and wait for it. So let's just say that I have a lot of making up to do for my friends because they were not very happy for me making them sit through lots of credits for such a lame sequence. So unless you're a die-hard Marvel fan, I think as soon as the first post-credit scene is done, you can walk out and go home.